Now, all this week we're bringing you stories from the River Thames. Riz Latif is making her way down the river, and tonight you've reached, well, the heart of the city, I suppose.
Yes, Mike, that's right. Yes, welcome aboard HMS Belfast. I'm quite literally standing on a piece of British history. In case you didn't know, she was the only surviving vessel of her type to have seen active service during the Second World War. And she was the first ship to be preserved for the nation since Nelson's victory. I want to get that right. So, fair to say, a significant part of our naval history. Let me just scoot over to Andy Curran, who is the conservation manager for her. Now, I imagine maintaining a ship like this doesn't come cheap. How important is she to London?
Oh, very important. She's been here now since 1971. It really has become a landmark in her own right.
And given the nature of your job, what is the most challenging part of preserving and maintaining her?
Trying to stop about 11,500 tonnes of steel turning back into rust.
OK, well, Andy Curran, thanks very much indeed. So, HMS Belfast, one of London's most famous historic ships, alongside the Cutty Sark. But there is one couple who believes that there's another vessel that's just as important to London's history. So much so, they spent years restoring her, trying to restore her to her former glory, as Matthew Morris reports.
A new lease of life for the SS Robin.
We're really putting the last of the deck equipment back up, the funnel, the masts will go on, and she'll start to look like a real ship again.
Built in 1890 to carry coal, the ship is now the only complete coastal cargo steamer.
She was a working Victorian coaster, hard-working representation of Londoners' graft.
We're there. Beauty!
The SS Robin was saved from the scrapyard in 1974.
Onto the top of the accommodation here.
David and Nishani Kampfner bought the Robin for £1 in 2002. Both photographers, they wanted to turn it into a gallery. We filmed on board in London's Docklands in 2003, but the idea was short-lived, and to avoid the scrapyard, the couple hatched a bolder plan: to bring the Robin back to London on a large pontoon, which will then be used as a pier and a floating museum.
Here we are down inside the pontoon itself. This is the main space. It's also going to be a museum space with interactive displays and spaces for training.
But before that training can start, the Robin needs a home. It's been in Suffolk for 2 years and has to leave by the end of the month, but as yet has nowhere to go.
We have an immediate concern about taking her from here in Lowestoft on 31st of August, which we are duty-bound to do, and finding a temporary location for the work that still needs to be done within the pontoon and the ship.
If that didn't happen, what would you do?
She will probably have to face reality that may be scrapped or may be taken abroad.
The next question is, where will its long-term home be? And that could be where you come in.
I think she needs a prestigious place in London, and we are looking at the moment at various locations up and down the river, and we'd really like to hear what Londoners have to say about where they think she should go.
The SS Robin Trust is looking for a potential home. Suggestions include Victoria Embankment or the Bankside Pier near the Globe Theatre and Tate Modern. There's a possible spot near London Bridge. The Tower Pier extension by Tower Bridge is an option, as is Wapping, where it could become a new pier for passenger boats. The Trust has already had nearly £2 million of lottery money and is asking for another $1 million at a time when cash is hard to come by. So it's not yet full steam ahead. Matthew Morris, BBC London News.
Well, Jim Fitzpatrick, the MP for Poplar and Limehouse, is also one of SS Robin's patrons. Thank you for joining me this evening.
Pleasure.
It's an incredible story, isn't it? Bought for £1 in 2002, millions spent restoring it and turning it into a museum. But is there a chance, as we heard in that report, that Londoners may not get to see it?
That can't happen. London has 3 Grade 1 maritime heritage sites. One's Belfast, the second is Cutty Sark, and the third is the SS Robin. but the Robin was the only one of the three which was built on the Thames. So if Londoners don't get the opportunity to see this great ship, then it'll be a real travesty. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Robin is going to come back to the Thames, and Londoners will have the opportunity to come and admire her, to enjoy her, and to look at the facilities that will be built round about her.
And as we heard in the report, one of the sort of sticking points is a mooring place. Why didn't you think about a place to moor before the restoration?
Well, I think Robin has survived each obstacle stage by stage. First of all, it was finding somewhere for her to be berthed, and British Waterways, Tower Hamlets gave the opportunity for that. Then it was getting money to be able to make sure she survived, and Crossrail and others supplied that. So a whole number of organisations, including Heritage Lottery Fund, have invested in Robin so that she will be able to survive, so that Londoners and others can enjoy her.
What happens if you can't moor her?
Well, we've got to be able to moor her. And there are a whole number of sites that are available for Robin to be berthed at. And the one which I personally...
I was going to say, favourite one for you.
...would want to see would be at Wapping. There's a very strong current of opinion in Wapping, if you excuse the pun. Local residents want a Thames Clipper service to be able to stop at Wapping. Local businesses want it. Robin will provide the perfect pontoon to be able to allow public access to have a commuter service at Wapping.
Jim Fitzpatrick, thank you very much indeed, and you've certainly made your pitch for Wapping, but this is where you come in, because you guys at home can help too by suggesting a new home for the cargo ship. That's what the SS Robin Trust would like BBC London viewers to do. I imagine there's lots of possibilities, so to have your say, just go to our website where you'll find all the details of how to give your ideas. Please do get in touch. As I said, Jim Fitzpatrick's certainly enthusiastic to hear some of them. Now, much more from HMS Belfast later on in the show, but for now, it's back to you in the studio, Mike.
Riz, thank you very much.